Hey everyone, it's Daniel
and Matthew,
and we are A to Z Thrills. Now today's video is going to be a little bit weird because we both have come together and given our top 5 inversions. And we're going to basically put them on a ranking scale. We might tease a little bit about what the others is. We're going to give some information about what they do, of course. But we're just going to hop on into it. It's going to be a quick little video. If you already have your favorite inversion, go ahead and link that in the comment section down below. Tell us why it's your favorite inversion. And hopefully you'll go ahead and like the video because trust me, this is going to be a very fun video. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with my number 5 inversion. And that is going to be the 0G style. Now, this inversion is listed on many coasters, such as West Coast Racers, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage, Velocicoaster, but I have to give my number 5 to Air Force One. The amount of hang time that you get, sustained ejector or sustained floater airtime just from that 0G style is incredible. Some would call it an underflip. For me, I would just say the 0G style, but to me it's just so fun the way you go over that little airtime hill before you go into it. And it's just like, if you get the chance to ride that, I'm pretty sure this would be a favorite inversion or a really good inversion from it. What about you? What's your number 5?
Well, my number 5 is actually, I'm going to give you the coaster first, and then I'll give you the inversion. The coaster is Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. Very underrated launch coaster. And there's a lot of great inversions. Great loops with amazing airtime. But my favorite is the one that takes everyone off guard the first time they ride Copperhead Strike, and that is the JoJo roll. It goes right out of the station, and you think you're headed towards, oh, here we go. But then all of a sudden, it completely flips the train very slowly, I might add. And it's very fun, very cool, and people are just like, whoa.
I mean, my first time riding it, that was one thing that caught me off guard because we went into that ride completely blind. We never even, watched the video.
And that's something I always recommend for people. Like, Daniel and I, when we were invited to the media day for Air Force One, thank you again, Fun Spot Atlanta. We appreciate that so much. Daniel wanted to look at various runs of the coaster, and I was just like, I don't want to. I don't want to know anything else. And it was better because of that.
Yeah, I mean, same with a few other rides that we may mention here later in the list.
And spoiler alert, Air Force One is making more than one appearance on our list.
Oh, definitely. The ride is just too good.
Yeah.
But anyway, with my number 4, that is going to be the Cobra Roll. Now, this again has been featured on a lot of different roller coasters. I mean, if you've ever ridden a Vekoma Boomerang, you've already done a Cobra Roll.
Oh, yeah.
Some other good memorable ones could be also on Hulk at Islands of Adventure. That was a really good and forceful inversion, but I know that
of course the various Batman clones at the Six Flags parks.
Touche. Now, a lot of people say that the Cobra Roll is actually not a very forceful inversion, and I can get that somewhat. But I think it's actually really fun to go from the positive G's that you're getting on the upwards to kind of the sustained ejector that you might get from, of course, that little midway to back to more positive G's. To me, it's just always so much fun. And my favorite one from that has to be Silver Bullet from Knott's Berry Farm. The way that it goes through is so effortlessly. It's like you're riding on air. You don't even know that you went through the inversion, which to me is really good. I know some coaster enthusiasts may say, oh, that's boring. I want to feel it. For me, if you can go through an inversion and not even know you went through an inversion, that is freaking amazing. Like, come on.
I agree. Cobra Roll is awesome. Not on my list, though. Spoiler alert, no Cobra Roll here. My number 4, I told you we were coming back to it, and we're coming back to it right now. My number 4, Air Force One. There's so many things it could be. There's the arcade roll. Mm-hmm. Of course, the 0G stall, which was already mentioned.
Yeah.
But my favorite has to be the first ever Raven Trust dive.
Yes.
You go upside down in a way that no one ever has before on a roller coaster.
Ever.
It's incredible. And you go so quick because this thing is going at 64 miles per hour. And when we say it goes, it goes.
Yes.
And it does not stop.
And here's the thing. I know some other coaster enthusiasts have also said this is similar to a dive loop, which I can understand, but it's just to be able to have that experience to ride this first ever Raven Trust dive. It's amazing. I do love the inversion. Not on my top 5. But I will say number 3 is we're still gonna stick with Air Force One. As you said before, it's gonna be the arcade roll.
Oh, there you go.
Now I love any kind of barrel rolls or heartline rolls, but this, as I said before with Silver Bullet, the whippiness that you go through this inversion feels like you're, and mind the pun, you're riding on air. I mean, you are thrown out of your seat, so you feel, of course, the ejector that you're getting from this inversion, but it's just so good. Like, you go through it so fast. Now, don't get me wrong, I love it whenever you can, of course, get the sustain, such as the Jodo roll that Matt had mentioned, but it's just that inversion. If you could take anything from Air Force One and just loop it over and over and over again, it has to be that arcade roll.
And it's an awesome moment because it is a close call.
Yeah, I mean, just whenever we were at Media Day, we were actually inside the arcade going towards the media room, and we heard that thing go right over. It shakes the building.
It does just a little bit, yes.
And it's just so cool, so amazing, and I just love that. So what's your number 3?
Well, I have a feeling you may strangle me for this one because I have a feeling this one's a little bit higher on your list.
Oh, no.
But my number 3 is the pretzel loop. I absolutely love this inversion. And it's on quite a few of the rides, some flying coasters. The first time I ever experienced the pretzel loop was on Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Over Georgia. And the fact that you end up on your back going through the loop, it's just an incredible feeling. You feel all those G's coming at you. And it's a great moment. But by far, my favorite pretzel loop, let me see if I can do this one justice, is Tatsu!
I think you done it justice. Now, I agree. The pretzel loop is amazing. I'll go into more of it because it is higher up on my list.
I have a feeling it probably was.
But I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to go ahead, if you're all right with it, move on to my number 2, which is another heartline roll. Or, as some would call it, the barrel roll. But I think Matt actually may have this as his number 1. Mine is the Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster. Now,
number 2?
Yes, number 2. So let me explain. So don't get me wrong, I love this inversion. It is so good. It's so picturesque. I mean, especially those night rides, you can't even see that as coming because unfortunately, Velocicoaster doesn't have that much of a lighting package when it comes to night. Besides the actual trains, and unfortunately, those lights are not always on. But when you're going through that roll, you feel like you're gonna fall into the water. It's so good. It's so.
And the only thing holding you back is the lap bar. There's no belt. There's no shin guards. No nothing. It's literally that restraint.
Other manufacturers, take note.
Intamin, they know what they're doing.
Yes. But this inversion is just so good. I mean, of course, you're coming off of that 0G stall. You're going through those wave turns, and then straight into it. And I think even before then, you have a little bunny hill before you're going into that Mosasaurus roll. Like I said, the main thing about it that I guess intrigues me is the picturesque value because of how it's placed over the water. If they were placed it anywhere else, I don't think it would have the effect that it has on the coaster as
it
a
wouldn't.
whole.
Well, remember, like way back when, in the past, Maverick was supposed to end with the same kind of inversion, but because of where the track would have been, it wouldn't have been great on maintenance, and it would have been...
Well, yeah, as I know, it was going through the Heartline roll so quickly, it would have caused more maintenance issues for the trains.
Yeah, they hadn't quite got it right at that point.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some. But, all together, I love the ride. I know you're going to go more into it on your number 1, but what's your number 2?
Well, it may not be my number... Yeah, it is my number 1. Anyway.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I know, right? My number 2 is very basic, but hear me out.
I mean, sometimes basics are good.
The vertical loop.
Oh.
Yeah, the vertical loop.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a vertical loop, and there's so many rides that have loops. Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain has a bunch of loops. Blue Hawk at Six Flags Over Georgia.
Classic Revolution.
But yes, Classic Revolution, the very first one. But the kind of loops I love the best are the ones that you don't just speed through. The ones that you take your time going through and feel that air time where you're upside down. I love Copperhead Strike for that. But my number 2 is Full Throttle, Six Flags Magic Mountain, the tallest vertical loop in the United States of America.
Well, it was the first tallest loop.
It's still the tallest.
I mean, the other one's tallest.
It's still the tallest. Don't interrupt me. It's my turn.
All right.
I mean, the fact that you get sent out of the station 70 miles per hour towards this huge loop, and then you don't just sail through it. You glide, and you're upside down for 3, maybe even 4 seconds. I mean, it's an incredible feeling, and it is by far my number 2 inversion. But it's not my number 1.
I mean, I have to agree with you. The vertical loop on Full Throttle is really good. As in, that sustain that you get for airtime is just amazing.
And to me, Full Throttle is almost a perfect coaster. Ease up on the brakes just a bit, Six Flags Magic Mountain, and you got it.
I mean, to me, they could just put the brakes a little bit less. Anyway, I'm getting off subject.
Yeah.
So we have come to our number 1s. Now, I do want to make an honorable mention, and that is for any of the inversions that we missed, because there are just too many. I think there's when I did research on the inversions, there's 51 different inversions on the roller coaster database.
And by all means, if you think we're wrong, please
let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Tell us, because we're not perfect. Maybe something slipped our mind, like, oh my gosh, how did we miss that?
Exactly. So go ahead, take your time, do that, and then come back up here, because my number 1 is something that you said earlier. It is the pretzel loop.
I knew it.
Now, I will say, my first time ever was also with you on Superman Escape from Krypton, right?
Ultimate Flight.
Oh, Ultimate Flight, my bad. But that is not my favorite. And even though I love Tatsu, I can't do it as good as he. I have to say,
and he's a voice actor.
I have to say, my favorite pretzel loop is from SeaWorld Orlando. Now, I know this is going to be kind of a shock, because I know everyone loves those positive G-forces. I do too. Tatsu just hits a little bit too hard for me. And one thing that we've noticed is that whenever it comes to the pretzel loops, usually they're about halfway to almost the very end of the ride. While at SeaWorld Orlando, you go up, you make a small little turn, and then you go right into the pretzel loop. And the amount of positives and negatives you get from those loops is just amazing.
And what ride is that? And what ride is that?
I already said.
You didn't say.
Oh, I didn't.
No.
Wow. That would be Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. I thought I had already said it.
Nope.
My bad.
You sure did.
So, yes, Manta at SeaWorld Orlando was the first ride that we actually rode when we went out there ourselves. And just the positives and negatives, or the positive G's and the negative G's that you get while you're riding that ride is just so good. And a very picturesque memory as well. And that's one thing I've noticed about me picking my roller coasters versus probably Matthew or anyone else. I mainly also do it not just for the value of the actual G's that I'm feeling, but also the picturesque values. Such as, of course, anything on Air Force One, the Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster, and that pretzel loop on, of course, Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. But I'm going to take a step back and let you finish out with your number 1.
All right, let's get serious here. The real number 1.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah. It's the Mosasaurus roll. I mean, come on. It is clearly the Mosasaurus roll. This is the number 1 inversion in the world, period. And if you don't know it's coming and you are riding that ride, you are like, holy. And, I mean, you talk about picturesque. You're over the water. Yep. What's more picturesque than that? Not to mention, Velocicoaster won Coaster 365's March Madness. Congratulations, by the way. I voted for it all the way. For a reason, and that reason is it is the best steel roller coaster before Air Force One opened. Then it's kind of a little bit of a controversy between Daniel and I because it's close.
Yeah, for me, Air Force One automatically became my number 1.
It's close. I've thought about it, and I mean, Air Force One doesn't have a launch.
But here's the thing: we're also going to be running Velocicoaster later on this year, so we'll just leave all the picking and choosing later on.
Yeah.
But we're not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you again so much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to tell us what we did wrong, leave a comment. And as always, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Matthew.
And we are A to Z Thrills. As always, keep calm.
And coaster on.
Bye, guys.
See you later.